Welcome to PM Express tonight. Tonight, Bawunomics, fundamentals versus the reality. Let's get into it. The Vice President today, we know, been defending government's management of the economy at the town hall meeting, his first of his kind. Remember, the minority on the same show had accused him of, had described him as being in a self-imposed exile. Well, he emerged from that exile, if you believe what the minority has said, all guns blazing, with a lot of promises as well, but also some cuts that we'll be talking about. Now, he claims the MPP government has better exchange rate figures than the NDC administration. We'll look at the specifics as he put out today. Also describes MPP's worst CD performance as better than the NDC's best. How is that? We'll interrogate that. He says the IMF exit conditions caused exchange rate spikes in March. You've seen that happen March. Last month was the craziest we've seen as far as the depreciation of the cedi is concerned in a long time, almost hitting 6 cedi to the dollar. He has an explanation for this. He said that the BOG could not pump money into the economy to stabilize the cedi because of the IMF restrictions that have been imposed on it. Now, according to him, they announced today a reduction in the benchmark values that will take effect from tomorrow. As far as the port is concerned, this is huge reduction in benchmark values to take effect tomorrow at the ports, which is going to see, as far as he's concerned, he's also the chair of the economic management team, a significant reduction in port duties at the port, as much as 50% for all goods, 30% for cars. And the Vice President says the move is to reduce the incidence of smuggling and enhance revenue. He says to get revenue, as far as port operations is concerned, you first need to get volumes. So if you reduce your benchmark values by 50% and 30%, you'll attract a lot of more containers to your port. With increased volumes comes increased revenue. That is the logic behind the decision to cut the benchmark values. Now, he says that the finance minister is hinted of a 953 million cedi has been earmarked for what he says is a cleanup in the microfinance sector that we're getting to know of. That's going to take off very soon. 3 billion cedis will go into reforms in the savings and loan sector as well. He says the minority has described the vice president's assertions simply as lies, right? We'll get them to explain why they say that. Now, NDC also has a statement out tonight, and they cast doubts on the promises that have been made to reduce the import duties, well, let's call it the benchmark values. We'll explain the difference between import duties and benchmark values very shortly, claiming that it will be similar to the announced reduction in tariffs on spare parts. Remember that announcement in the budget that was read by the finance minister? I think the first budget they read. There were jubilations in Abosokai, and then it turned sour. Hopes were dashed. They started demonstrating, protesting that they had not seen the reductions that had been announced in the budget then. And that's what the minority is saying. We might see the same thing with this reduction as well. Now, the minority also say the vice president is struggling to gain his lost credibility, a man who addressed several lectures on this very matter today. We'll look at some of his performance today at the town hall meeting. But the fundamental question is this: does the economic management team's assessment reflect the reality? Let's call it your reality. Well, the individuals here to help me do this. We have with me Dr. Joseph Obing. He is the president of the Ghana Union Traders Association. When we're talking about reality, he's a man to talk to because they feel it on the ground. Also with me is the former Deputy Finance Minister, Kesa Atafosen, is with me in the studio as well. We'll get to hear his thoughts shortly. Now, PMXS is going to try and digest this for you because there's something that is emerging tonight that we needed to pay attention to. Many of us, including myself, thought that the 50% reduction is in duties, import duties, right? And the 30% on the cars, same import duties. In fact, I've already started making calls to try and see if I can bring in a few cars. Because if the car is going to cost me 30,000 cedis, 30% is huge. I can now clear the car. But I'm told tonight that is not exactly what it is. Really? We'll explain that. Stay with us here on PM Express. Live on PM Express tonight, my guest, as you know already, Case Lato Forcing, former Deputy Finance Minister. Also with me in the studio is Dr. Joseph Obin, is the president of the Ghana Union Traders Association. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time here on the show. I want to start with you straight up because there's a lot to break down. I want to start with you, Dr. Joseph Obin. Yes. And I said at the beginning that when I heard 50%, oh goodness, that is import duties, 50% slash. This is significant. But as you're learning tonight, this is not exactly, it's not import duties. This is benchmark values. Yeah. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that if the good, what you've imported is going to cost you 5,000 cedis to clear as of yesterday, tomorrow morning when you go, it's going to cost you 250 cedis. That's not what it is, right? Please explain.
Yeah. I think the government had an option of reducing the duty rates itself. But they chose to dwell on the benchmark values. Okay. Probably for reasons of the CET.
Please explain
the CET being the Common External Tariff, a treaty signed
with the West African countries.
The West African countries. So with all our dialogue and all that with government and all that, you see that if you push that argument of reducing the duty itself, they raise that issue. So having maybe weighed all the options, then they thought of the using the benchmark values as a way to give us some respite. Okay. The benchmark value simply means, as the name implies, it's a benchmark value to compare your original value. Yeah. You know that normally we have been arguing at the port with the customs against undervaluation. Customs would say that we have undervalued the values of our goods, and then we would say that customs benchmark values are so high. For instance, a cable. This problem started. We started realizing this problem when the destination inspection companies left. Okay. They were having a set of values. In those days, you recall that we were not talking so much about the values and all that because they were very acceptable for the trading community. When they exited, then customs started making their own benchmark values, which were extremely higher than that of the destination inspection companies. So from 2015 coming, we've been arguing because that's where the destination inspection companies exited for customs to come in. And then they have started developing their own database. So benchmark value simply means the value which customs have gazetted, and then they will use to check, cross-check any value that comes their way.
You are into cables.
So
take a cable,
for instance,
and use that to break it down. Because a lot of our viewers, like me, don't understand this.
Exactly.
We thought it's going to be import duties, and it's not. So take a cable, a coil of 1.5, 100-meter cable that you've imported. And use that to illustrate for me.
Yeah, so the benchmark value for 1.5 cable is around $8.
$80.
$8.
$8.
Yeah. $8 per coil.
Per coil.
Okay. Yeah, that's 100 yards.
100 yards, yes.
Yeah. So if I bring the cable from wherever source that I bring, except China, and then I price, maybe my price is $2. Customs will reject the $2 and use its benchmark value. But
so you import it at $2. You tell customs.
That's my value, probably.
That's your value.
Whatever.
So you say I bought this for $2 in say Germany. Yeah. Customs will tell you no. When we checked it,
it's far below our benchmark,
which is there's probably ours is $8. Yeah. Okay, so there's a conflict.
There's a conflict, and this is what have been going on at the port. Okay. And basically, this have been a major source of worry to us.
So they say 50%.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
What it means is that they are coming close to whatever we've put on the table before, because we have been negotiating with them, because we have regular interaction or discussion with them concerning these areas, especially when one of our associations raise it.
So you're using an example still. So now you apply this latest directive to the $8 that the custom says your coil cost, as against what you actually bought it for in Germany. And then what will happen then?
Normally they will uplift it. And so if maybe the total quantity that you brought amounted to maybe $50,000 US dollars, and they uplift it to their value, their benchmark value, probably it will go to about $150,000. That's just for example.
Okay.
And so this mitigation by government, somebody may see it as negligible, but very essential.
So stay with me on this. So if it's $150,000 after they apply their values, the 50% reduction will be calculated on what?
Will be calculated on the 150,000, their benchmark, cumulated benchmark on the.
I have to disagree, so I'll come to you on that. Okay.
So yes, when I finish,
it comes to that.
Yeah, but that's what normally comes.
Okay.
You know, they always accuse us that we are undervaluing our values, and this is what it means, because they use it to cross-check this benchmark. That's why they are saying that we have undervalued. And now, if this thing is if you are giving 50%, it means now you are going to use $4 for our calculation. Then they've met us halfway of our values.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to use the coil all through in calculation for me. Very simple terms. Let me try and go through and see if I'm right. So you bought one coil for, let's say from Germany, for $2. You get to Ghana, import the customs say, no, when we apply our value to it, it's $8.
Exactly.
Okay. Government says we reduce that by 50%. Right? You say they will calculate the 50% on the $8, not your $2.
No, on the benchmark.
Which is $8.
Yes.
Which is $8.
Yeah, and the $8 is what government is proposing to reduce.
Okay, so exactly. So they will apply that. So they will reduce. They'll reduce the $8. Let's say $10, right?
Yeah.
So they reduce it by half.
To come to
$5.
Yeah.
That is what you pay.
Exactly.
To Ghana.
That's what it will be used. It will apply later to check. Sometimes my value can go to 6.
Okay.
And then they will take the 6.
Okay.
Because when it's higher than their benchmark, they take the higher.
Okay.
When it comes to 3, they won't accept.
So what it means is that if you say to them that, oh, you bought it for $9, which is above what then they will not, this won't apply. So this won't apply.
Exactly.
Okay, that's all.
Okay. First of all, let me start by saying that the government approach will not yield the needed relief that Guta and our brothers and sisters who are importers wanted. No. Unfortunately, the World Trade Organization, World Customs Organization, and our laws, the Customs Act, frowns on benchmark valuation.
Okay.
It is something that is prohibited by World Trade Organization, World Customs Organization, and the laws of Ghana.
I see.
Per the laws of this country, the Customs Act, customs can only apply the import duties as approved by Parliament on invoice values. Benchmark values are only used for the purposes of risk management and cannot be used, obviously, to apply for, import duties purposes. So, for instance, as he rightly said, if you bring in a cable and your invoice value is 4, customs benchmark value, that is the gazetted customs opinion, what it's supposed to be, and assuming they say 6. That's 6. You are staying at 4 and they are saying 6. So there's a difference of 2.
Yeah.
What the Vice President is saying is that 2% will be reduced by 50%. Not
so
the
the
6.
difference.
The difference.
Okay.
And that is why I'm cautioning Ghanaians not to celebrate as yet. Because the difference of 2% is at the benchmark values. But unfortunately, and that is why I said he's populist.
So this will only apply if there's a conflict between the importer and the
That
customer.
is when there's a conflict. So as soon as there's a conflict, then they apply. You see, you are saying, because the argument is my valuation is 4.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm saying I bought a 10 at 6, at 4. You are saying, no, it shouldn't be 4, it's 6. So now, what do I do? So you are adding 2% more. I'm giving you 50% off, reduction by 50. In the case of cars, reduction by 30%. Now, if they are to reduce the entire 6 cedis or $6 by 50%, then it means they are reducing it below your invoice values, which is 3 instead of the 4, because you claim you bought it at 4.
Okay.
The invoice value is 6. Okay. They are saying it's 6. But if they are saying they're going to reduce it by 50%,
that's why you say that the reduction is on the difference.
It's on the difference,
not the actual value.
That is the argument. Let's wait for the implementation. You see what I'm talking about?
Okay, please come.
I'm not happy because if we are quoting WTO laws now on these same benchmark values, these have been there all these years, and we have been arguing. Why don't you use take our transactional values? That's the first reference of the WTO acceptance value, the transactional value. And all this time, all these governments have not, or the customs have not accepted this. And they always dwell on the benchmark values. They will never accept, and they will always uplift.
So Ghana has always dwelled on
modality. So Atufo Honorable will admit that during their time, it was the same thing.
It started in 2016, ending, and I raised the issues.
No, that makes us so frustrated.
I raised the issues
because we bring our goods, and it's always rejected. The values that we bring is always rejected.
Because government is applying the benchmark value, which is always different from yours.
To its advantage, and it has been used all this time. The modalities of this thing is now we went to customs just after the meeting to the commissioner and
ports.
For customs.
Oh, customs. Okay.
To discuss on these modalities.
Okay.
What we understand is that because I'm saying this because we have been discussing
with the authorities on this.
Yes, with the authorities and all that, saying that the benchmark values are high. So it's not about any differentials.
Okay.
It's about the values that have been given to us.
Okay, so you are saying that the 50% will be on, so in the case of the coil, if the government, if the port value is $8, the 50% will be on the $8, so it will cut it to $4.
Exactly, we are going to negotiate benchmark values.
Okay. But Atu has an argument there which says that...
No, I don't know whether the government have discussed with him.
Okay.
If he has it for a fact, then he should say it, because we don't want this thing to come and confuse the issues. It's about the values, because the value is something that nobody have a drift of it.
Now, this
because we import our goods.
This is an interesting thing, though. I want us to listen to Setchuma Kwabwa. He's the president of the Ghana Association of Industries, right? AGI, right? Association of Ghana Industries. He agrees with what we just heard there from Atufo. And listen to it, because I want to get your view on it, because he's also an association just like you, the president, but he has a different view on this. Let's listen to him.
My understanding of it is a bit different, though. I mean, that would have been a big, serious challenge for industries if you give a blanket 50% reduction in import duty. But I don't think that is what the vice president said. What he said was that the benchmark values will be reduced by 50%. Now, the benchmark values only comes in when there is no clarity and there is uncertainty about the values you are declaring. So if you are declaring a certain value and it's consistent with what the customs expect, then they leave it there and you pay the appropriate duty. So it's not a reduction in duty. It is only when your declaration is not consistent with what the customs have. And then they say that you are going to use a certain benchmark. So that benchmark, your values cannot be below that. Any value above it is fine, but below that, they will not accept it. That's what the benchmark value does. So in some instances, there may not be any reduction at all. And in fact, most of the goods we import, if it's consistent and they're declaring the right values, they shouldn't be attacked, they shouldn't be touched at all.
So what it is that there'll be some goods that you import that the 50% reduction will not apply.
Oh yes, in fact, in most of them it shouldn't even apply, because in most cases you declare your values, and if you are truly declaring the right values, the benchmark values doesn't come in at all. So you pay the right duty. It is only when there's uncertainty, the customs are not clear, that the values you have declared is not consistent with what they think the value should be, then they apply the benchmark values.
Okay, so you expect, I mean, what is the AGI's own approach going to be in getting clarity on this going forward?
Well, we will talk to customs. We are always engaging them. So we have to have a clarity on this. But our understanding of it is that it is a benchmark value they are talking about, not a total reduction in the duty rate.
So my car is on its way to Ghana, and I've been told ahead of time before I arrive that I'm going to pay, say, 30,000 cedis to clear it when it lands. Now, tomorrow morning, I thought, as simple as it sounds, that I should knock off 30% of the 30,000 and pay the difference, because that is what the policy says. Is that what it is?
Absolutely no. That is not what it is. I'm not a customer, but that's completely wrong. If the 50,000 you declared is the actual value, then the duty, applicable duty, should be paid without any interruption.
So you're saying that unless there is a dispute, the reductions won't apply?
Exactly.
So you said that the jubilation is premature?
I think so. People don't seem to have a clear understanding of it. We will study it, but he clearly mentioned, and I listened, he said benchmark values should be declared, should be lowered by 50%.
But AGI at least is excited, are you not?
No, we are excited in what sense? You mean on this particular issue?
Yes, on the reduction.
On the reduction?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we are importers of raw materials largely. Some of our members also import finished goods. We are happy with the reforms that is taking place. We are happy with the fact that there is efforts to facilitate speedy clearance of goods and make the port more efficient. We are happy with all that. The benchmark values, for us, as far as we are concerned, if people are really declaring the right values, it has no effect. So really, it doesn't really add much.
So he says that the jubilation is premature?
Yeah, what he's saying is 100% true. But that's all that we want, because the benchmark value is overpriced. We cannot afford it. Can always throw distortion, confusion at the port.
So it's not true that it applies to every good that you import?
No, if the goods come and it's within the range of the benchmark, it's accepted.
Yeah, that's it.
And the problem only comes when it is below. When it's below, and then we said that the difference between the prices that we've been submitting and what their benchmark is the room is too much. Okay. And that's why the reduction of 50%. And so what Minister Honorable is saying, I don't know where he got those information, because most times we go and negotiate. We have been negotiating benchmark values. It's not any scientific something. We go and you say, we say that the price that we buy is too less. Your benchmark value is high. And then sometimes even customs on its own can reduce this maybe about 20% or 30%. But government is saying that I'm reducing the benchmark value as is being used by 50%, so that you can have the respite, so that the argument that is coming back and forth will not be there. So is it going to be negligible, or is it going to be significant? Yeah, if your goods have been uplifted before, if something that you are supposed to pay $20,000 and after applying the benchmark value, you are going to pay 80,000. That's where you see how significant this is.
Okay. Evans, I've done some calculations this evening. Okay. And I can confidently tell you that that will not a reduction in the benchmark values itself will not result in 50% reduction in exchange in terms of bottom line, what you used to pay yesterday and what you are going to pay tomorrow. That is not going to be the case. In fact, what I've seen is that at the best option, we are seeing an increase not more than 5%. Not more than 5%. At the best case, in some cases 1%. But even the 5%, if the cedi depreciates further, that 5% will be going away gradually. And by end year, if the cedi is to depreciate up to 6 cedis for the US dollar, then the impact of that 5% will be vanished completely. Evans, my opinion, government could have done something better if government meant well. And I say this because I heard him talk about CET, the ECOWAS Common External Tariff. I remember I sent it to Parliament. Government of Ghana can ask for relief. You can ask for relief up to 5 years. So if government intended to do something for importers, they could have apply or evoke that relief option and then reduce those items, calling for the exemptions. They could have done that. Again, I'm of the opinion that the imposition or the extension of the 2% special import levy, that could have even been very significant than what they have done. The 2% special import levy is so significant that that alone would have at least given the importers, our brothers like Gutes and other importers, some respite, easily, instead of them deciding to go this route. I also fought His Excellency the Vice President's communication on the matter. He created impression, the way he communicated it, he created impression that the 50% is the bottom line reduction and 30% is the bottom line reduction. And I've always said that his policy announcements are populist. They're populist. You don't announce economic policies like this, create confusion in the eyes of the people. The ordinary Ghanaian is confused. Ordinary Ghanaian, what about the market, the investor community? They're concerned overnight. So what is going to happen to government revenue? What is going to happen to the fiscal? All of this feed into the uncertainties that we are seeing. So I have concern. The way he communicates, the populist approach must stop. He's the vice president, for God's sake. He should be able to tell us that per the calculations, the bottom line may be reduced by X%. But not to say that 50% and 30%. That itself is miscalculation. I'm not happy with it.
Please, the politician, we have to be very careful. When they were in power, during NDC time, the CET came, and I sent a team to, we gave so many item list to them, that this thing is unaffordable, the new rates. For instance, most of them went from 10% to 20%. And the biscuits and all that went from 20% to 35%. They never did anything about the CET. The list as submitted. And now we've come this far, and he was a deputy finance minister. And he's saying that we could have applied and get some relief. This is not fair to the trading community. I'm not happy because I'm not a politician. That's why I'm saying I don't like the style of politicians. The 2%, after the 2% special levy was introduced by Setape. We wanted to see him and discuss these 2%. We never had the opportunity. We didn't have any opportunity to meet at Tofort. You see that when he saw me, he said, you introduced him as Guta, president, because we never met. And then once we have an issue on it at Elisa Hotel, he told us that this thing is going to go off after the sunset. And we never saw the sunset of these 2%.
Can I explain?
But this government had met you.
See.
Please, and it has lived through.
Okay.
Now,
and it's not there,
the
right?
fact that he is the person talking about this, I'm not happy.
Okay.
Because if they had taken this 2% off, we wouldn't have been here talking about this. After the sunset set so constant, it never blinked an eye.
You are misleading. I have to clarify certain points.
Please clarify.
You see, the previous NDC government introduced the special import levy with a sunset clause that it ends in 2017. This administration promised in their manifesto that if they are to win office when they were in opposition, they remove the special import levy, clearly in their manifesto. When they came, they had rather extended the sunset clause to 2019 December, in fact, ending 1st of January 2020.
But it doesn't take away the fact that you introduced it.
No, but we introduced it. But the sunset, he made reference that the sunset it has lived through.
No,
I want him to say because can I finish? When we were speaking, it is wrong for you to say there was no timeline.
Yeah.
There was a timeline.
What was the timeline?
You see, the timeline, I said it was ending 31st of December 2017 in the law.
Okay, so that would have been an undiscovered
in the law. This government, in the 2017 budget, decided to extend it for 2 years in the law and brought an amendment to the law. The parliamentary hazard bets me out because I spoke against it, and we said that your own manifesto, you had said that you are going to actually remove the special import levy in your first 100 days. What has happened? You have extended it. Again, he talked about the special, the CET. Yes, the CET is an ECOWAS common external tariffs imposed by all ECOWAS states. We had options, and we still have options, to remove certain, items or seek for exemption for up to 5 years. When we implemented it, we decided to exempt certain items. I don't remember, but I remember rice, we even reduced certain percentages. We asked for exemptions on certain items because we thought as much that it's important for us to ask for certain exemptions. So it is wrong for him to say that we did not do anything about it. We exempted certain items. What I'm saying is that, and I've repeatedly said this in my press engagement and all of that, that if government really means well, in the midst of the cedi depreciation, because the cedi depreciation itself is imposing additional burden to the importer, because the import duties are expressed or charged on the dollar, because itself is bringing government of Ghana additional revenue. I am of the opinion that in view of the cedi depreciation, they should immediately remove the special import duty because it cannot still be there because it is distorting
But
importation.
if the law said it should end by December 2017, did they amend the law?
No, they can, yes, they came to Parliament to amend the law. They brought an amendment to the law to extend it to December 2019, 2 more years.
And to the point you raised about they had tried to meet you to try and listen to their
I've not seen any invitation from him.
And he says that
he has not invited me. And he knows he has not invited me as a person. So that's not...
please.
I want to go to the city.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Please, if they put a timeline on the 2%, I'm yet to know. Maybe...
So it's in the law.
You have the law.
Maybe
You
they
can
put
check
it
the law.
somewhere.
You can check the law.
Please, what is the meaning
Yes.
of sunset? Because it said after the sunset, because there were a problem. And that if everything subsides,
it will go off.
It will go off. So,
things subsided.
So who was then the prophet to see that 2017 is when the it will subside? I don't know how this thing was couched, but then at that time the communication that we had, because this thing was creating a lot of problem for us. And then whenever we have the opportunity, it was not a timeline that was given us. They told us after the sunset. So we are not koda.
The sunset is the law. The sunset clauses are the law. Okay. Yeah. And so it should have expired. So you have to ask the government, because the government of the day in 2017
and for the CET, yes, I sent my team to list from all the sectors.
But you're not given a proper hearing.
Yes. Okay. The rice that we were talking about, I remember it was done. But against how many items? So many.
I can give the number of items that we
so many thousands. So politicians, please now think about the welfare of the citizenry, and now let's stop this thing, because sometimes it makes us feel very bad.
So tomorrow, let's come back to tomorrow. So tomorrow, you expect that your goods will clear with the new benchmark.
Yeah, we are doing the modalities. And it will be well explained to us.
Okay, but it's starting tomorrow.
Yeah, today we
are they ready to implement?
I was there when the commissioner showed us that he has gazetted certain things they are going to give to the single window West Blue or GCNet to gazette and all that.
So tomorrow you see the effects on the other points.
Well, because we have other issues also. Okay. On the levies, about 18 levies at the port. Some they use percentage, and the vice president was saying that we are going to make them all fixed. If we are able to make those things fixed, we are going to save about 6% also from there, because cumulatively it's about 10%.
I'm going to take a short break, a minute break. When I return, I'm going to talk about the cedi depreciation, because that is key. And Arthur Forcing has already produced a document that I on the Bank of Ghana website, which I checked, and there seemed to be, it's actually fascinating. There seems to be some truth in what he's saying. The vice president also has some truth in what he's saying, but it's not the whole truth. We're trying to interrogate that exactly. I mean, when the vice president tells us today that the cedi depreciation was fundamentally due to IMF conditionalities, was it really factual? Stay with us on PM Express. Live on PM Express. Let's go to the other. So the two main controversial issues. We dealt with one already. And before we end, I'll ask Dr. Bing if he's happy about the reduction in the benchmark values. And so would that lead to reduction in the prices of goods they sell to us on the market? We'll ask him that shortly before we end. But let's go to the cedi depreciation. Another big issue for Guta and everybody else. Yeah. But Ato, the vice president said that the real reason why the cedi depreciated was because the IMF imposed some strict restrictions. And I want to quote the relevant portions. It says, at the end of January, as part of the 7 prior actions to complete the IMF program, which went to the board on March 29, 2019, the Bank of Ghana was required to ensure net international reserve target on March 14, 2019 are the same levels as at the end of December 2018. To meet the IMF program prior action, the Bank of Ghana had to rather build up reserves in a period of extreme demand pressures by some 200 million. In effect, the dollars they had was asked to put in the reserves, and so they couldn't put it in the market to shore up the cedi, to give relief to the likes of Dr. Bing. And so there was a lot of demand. There wasn't any supply because of the IMF conditionality. You say that can't be true.
I disagree completely with the vice president, and particularly with the statement that the Bank of Ghana did not intervene in the market. Unfortunately, that is a lie. It's a lie. And I say this because I printed this from the central bank's website, 29th of March 2019. At the time, and the time is here, 1936 at the seconds of 49. Yeah. So 7:46 on the 49th second. And it's a summary of economic and fiscal data. And the item is external sector development cumulative. You have 2018 February, 2018 March, 2018, and you have it all there going to 2019.
And I have it on my laptop, so don't worry. I've double checked this already. Okay. And with my fact checkers already, we're not quite, but we've gone through this, so I know what he's going to say.
Yes.
So let's go through it.
If you go to the net international reserves, okay, and always look at the net international reserves, because that is the net, what is left. Gross, you have some encumbrance, that you take the encumbrance out, and what is left for you as a country, your reserve position, as you hold. You see, as at the 11th month of 2018, November, the net international reserves were 3.3 billion. Yeah. As at December 2018, the net international was 3.851 billion. Yeah. As at January 2019, it dropped to 3.511, and as at February 2019, it had dropped to 3.173. Yes. If you were to do the mathematics, between December, 760 million US dollars. True. So it cannot be true that the central bank did not intervene in the forex market. Okay. It cannot be true. And I've challenged that. And I've said that I'm printing this from the Bank of Ghana's website. For me, it's a lie.
Now, let me say, we've fact-checked this. It is true what he said. However, if you look closely at what the vice president said, this is where, when we discovered it was fascinating, because you have to really read carefully between the lines. So he says, quote, contrary to some speculation, the Bank of Ghana did not spend any reserves to revive the cedi following the initial depreciation. So if you play on words, he almost seemed to say here, admitting what you're saying, that yes, they spend money during the initial depreciation, but following that,
following the initial depreciation,
they did not spend money. Do you get it?
See where I heard the problem is.
Do you get it?
And I've always faulted the way His Excellency the Vice President speaks on issues, particularly with economic.
No, but this is deliberate. I mean, it's a politician.
No, but it goes beyond politics.
No, but you can't force him. It's not false.
Let me tell you.
What he said is not false, exactly.
You see, when you create that kind of impression, if you were a vice president speaking for the nation, the chairman of the economic management team, you don't only speak to the ordinary party people, you speak to stakeholders. Investors take your words very serious. Whatever you say is sacrosanct as long as economic matters are concerned. You cannot be using words like this.
Okay.
Let me read impression that you have not done it.
Let me read on. It says, some people have misunderstood the requirement by the IMF for the Bank of Ghana to build up its reserves by some 800 million to mean that the Bank of Ghana used that money to reverse the depreciation of the cedi. That's why he said it's not true. Because it's factual.
It's factual.
That between January and February, they took money from the reserve to stabilize.
They used that. And
true.
It's here.
So if you take that second paragraph, then you have a case. However, if you read the first paragraph, what he's trying to say to you is that he didn't actually, what the vice president didn't tell you is that in fact they did take money close to 800 million to stabilize the cedi January, February. But what he's actually saying is that following that initial money they spent, they didn't use money again in March.
But the bottom line is
money was used.
But money was used. 800 million US dollars.
And the facts.
You see, my problem is that the lies started from paragraph 6. The first 5 paragraphs was excellent, and the lies started from paragraph 6, running through to paragraph 70. Look, from the Ministry of Finance website, I can take you to the website and you compare some numbers there. Then, so that we all know. You go to the Ministry of Finance website, go to the data.
I don't have the Ministry of Finance now.
So let me check it. Let me give you some data. He says here that the economy ended in 2012 with a fiscal deficit of 12.2%. That is a lie. The fiscal deficit, the deficit for 2012 was 10.3. He said that for the year 2013 was 11.7%. Again, that is a lie. It was 8.4%, Ministry of Finance website. It went on to say that 2014 was 11.9%. That is a lie. It is 7.4%. Okay, and he went on to say that in the year 2015, it was 6.7%. Again, that is a lie. 5.3%. 2016, he said that it was 9.3%. I'm surprised. Ministry of Finance website, 7.3% on cash basis. The same cash basis is reporting. So, look, this is the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. He is not candidate Bawumia we know, or the running mate Bawumia that we know. At that point, you can get away with murder. But not when you are Vice President and Chairman of the Economic Management Team. Whatever you say, we will check it.
Yes, and we'll double check all the figures. I mean,
go to Ministry of Finance
That
website.
is why when you mentioned on Top Story, when to check.
Yes, and I sent it to you.
We'll check these ones as well. Final question, John, I'll come to you to wrap up with me. However, you must give this government credit because they have managed the cedi far better than you did. Their worst performance in cedi depreciation was 8.4% depreciation in 2018. Your best was above 9, and he made the point accurately today, and that one we've checked. You see, their worst performance is better than your best. Their worst performance is better than your worst performance. You agree to that? Those are facts you can argue with.
I disagree.
How?
You see,
these are obvious facts.
Why didn't he start comparing from 2009?
No, he's comparing 2 years.
Yes, he's comparing
2018.
2 years. You see,
to your best.
The NDC came to office in 2009, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, so why is he not comparing 2009, 2000?
No, but you can't. He's comparing 2 years. He's comparing
so he can pick and choose. Let me tell you. Are you aware?
But you agree with that?
Are you aware that as we speak, Ghana's currency is the 4th worst currency in the world? 4th worst currency. But you've had
you've had it even worse in your time. You've had it even worse
in the world. We never got to 4th worst in the world.
You were the worst in the world at some point.
No. We became. There was a problem, and when we discussed, we were talking about the weakest in Africa. They have already passed that.
Okay.
They are worst in Africa among 120 countries. Now they are worst in the world. The 4th worst currency, according to Bloomberg. I printed it to show you from the Bloomberg terminal. 4th worst in the world. My argument is simple. At the time that the world environment is doing good, okay, fuel prices is not that high. Crude oil prices is not that high. We expect the currency not to go under this stress.
But he's explaining why that happened.
You see, and that why is what I disagree.
That's why they're recovering.
That why is what I disagree. So they have no excuse to give us a currency that weak, and give us a water.
I know exchange rate is a big deal for you. You heard Bawumia today. Are you confident that that problem is now going to be recovered with all this foundation you had today?
Somebody have packed $1.4 million.
About to travel with it.
With it.
Yes.
Let's monitor.
That is the point you told me.
Let's monitor the
early in February.
This problem is artificial. All these problems that we are having, if we are able, Ghana is not doing badly at all in terms of the supply of the forest and all that. But if we're able to guide against it and monitor the pilfering and all that, the trade of money, the illegal trade of money that is going on along the West African coast and all that, let's be proactive, let's be practical on these issues. The theory things will not help us. The issue is so obvious. The foreign dominance on our economy is so much. Repatriation without any check. People even overprice their capital input here so that they can have more to repatriate. Let's check all these things and see. You
think that is what will solve the problem?
That's what
I promise to ask this question because I need it. The duty changes at the port, is it going to lead to a reduction in your prices that I get at your shop?
Yeah, this time nobody tell any trader what to do. The competition out there. We have a very strict competition there. So many people are compounded and compacted in the trading space. And so you do not overprice yourself out.
So, but generally, should we expect reductions in your prices?
Definitely. If this thing trickle down on us.
Will it trickle down?
He doesn't know yet. He doesn't know yet.
Yo, you want to see? I thought you were confident already that this is happening.
Oh, why? Because you have the sweetness of the pudding
is in the eating. I like that. Thank you very much for joining us on PMS. We'll see you again on Monday.